potentially a tough weekend ahead for Álvaro Arbeloa. You've been writing about it and previewing this game, Real Madrid against Levante, Jules, on the website. It's not going to get worse for Real Madrid, is it?
Surely, it can't. I mean, it can't be. Albacete was the lowest of the low, really, and this game, they play Monaco then on Tuesday in the Champions League at the Bernabeu as well. So these are the games where, at least in terms of result, because performance, one, we don't know really what to expect from Arbeloa as a coach and how this team is going to play. Is he going back to kind of basics, Ancelotti, hey, do what you want and let's hope for the best kind of thing? Or a bit more structured like Xabi Alonso, but that didn't work because the players didn't really want it to work. We're not really sure. Certainly we saw nothing against Albacete that could tell us that it's going to be one way or another. What we saw against Albacete was just nothing. Tactically, collectively, there was just nothing. They scored 2 goals, I know, but there was just nothing with the ball, really. So let's see. But even that, even against the Levante team, that, by the way, has changed manager, and since Luis Castro has come over towards the end of mid-December, they've actually unbeaten, and they just won against Sevilla and drew against Real Sociedad. So they're not in bad form compared to the form of Real Madrid with 2 defeats in a row. But surely they can't. The crisis has to stop right now, and already they're thinking about next season and players. We saw some of those rumors about them wanting to get Erling Haaland in the summer. Good luck with that. But the big thing for me as well for this Levante game is what about Kylian? If Kylian is fit and they want him to be fit and they want him to play and he doesn't really feel fit himself and he doesn't want to play tomorrow, that could be something, because they've been so dependent on him, so extra reliant on him, that if he's not there, I'm not sure where they go, because he's the one that has won them game on his own pretty much. And without him, it's going to be more difficult. That's why they're pushing for him to play tomorrow. Even against Levante, that's how bad things are. And so far, he hasn't been too keen on playing tomorrow.
Look, while there has been a slight improvement from Levante as of late, this is still Levante going to Santiago Bernabeu. And as I've said many a times in situations like this, somebody has to pay for the broken plates. Los platos rotos. It's a very Spanish expression. And those feelings will grow one way or another depending on the sort of performance that they have on the field, regardless of what Arbeloa is doing on the sideline. On the field. The players. And they know this very well. I'm not telling them something that they do not know. If they want this stadium to get behind them, it has to be, and it's an early start, by the way, for Real Madrid, which is usually in this sort of games, daytime kickoff, they're usually slow to get going. They got to get going from the first minute, so that then the potential for boost just kind of disappears, even though it's still there, kind of disappears, and it allows guys like Vini, Mbappé, and whoever else is available to play, and that'll be the interesting thing, the team selection from Arbeloa, for them to actually get behind this team. They have to regain the trust, the confidence, the love, the passion of Santiago Bernabeu, and you only do that by whipping the backside of Levante. And even that may not be enough. So, again, you mentioned, is this going to be a public trial? Well, it may very well be, but if you wanted a victim, might as well pick Levante, who's down at the bottom of this league. So it's all on the Real Madrid players. I'm not looking at Arbeloa tomorrow. I'm looking at the players.
Okay, let's talk about the players. Let's talk about Kylian Mbappé and whether we see him or not, Jules. But the fact that Alonso's gone, has there been any word from his camp on the dismissal of Xabi Alonso?
No, only what we saw on social media from Kylian. And again, I know there was this incident after the Supercopa final on ESPN that we saw where Xabi Alonso wanted the players to do the Guard of Honor for Barcelona on their way to their trophy and their medals. And Kylian and Rodrigo was like, no, we're not going. And I think it was more the fact that they didn't want, it was not that Xabi Alonso was asking, it was the fact that they didn't want to do it. It could have been anyone asking, they would not have not gone. But it was not a good look, which I think kind of summed up quite well the Xabi Alonso 7 months at the club. But he was happy to work with him. He did really well under him this season, incredible, really, in terms of responsibilities within the team, in terms of the momentum that he got, in terms of the goals that he scored. Now it's different. There's this knee injury that had been really bothering him because he still feels a bit of pain. And remember, the club flew him to Saudi to play 15 minutes and touch the ball 8 times in that Supercopa final, which was in itself quite crazy when you think about it now with a bit of hindsight, because he was clearly not fit. Now it's a few days later, didn't play against Albacete, obviously, and I think ideally he would pass on the game tomorrow and probably be ready for Monaco, and even if not Monaco, because again, Real Madrid should beat Monaco without Mbappé, the league game after that, but the situation is so bad that the club, like I said earlier, and Arbeloa are pushing for him, not just to play against Monaco, but also to play tomorrow. So he's in the squads. I guess there'll probably be another test tomorrow, but the truth is he doesn't feel 100%. And for me, you should not play him if he's not 100%. For a game like this, again, if it was Barca, if it was Atletico, a big Champions League game, okay, maybe it's a bit different. But Levante at home, for everything that we've just said, me and Ale, I don't think you should play him when he's not 100%.
In terms of managers, Jules, and speaking from the Mbappé angle of things here, obviously we've seen Ancelotti, and in the end it hasn't worked out with Ancelotti this time around. We've seen Xabi Alonso come, and that hasn't worked out. What type of manager is going to be best for Mbappé here at Real Madrid?
I don't know, you can't just pick your manager just on one player, right? But it's true that the Luis Enrique PSG type of manager didn't really work with Kylian. Remember this incredible scene that you can see on the Luis Enrique documentary where Luis Enrique is saying, listen, I need you to defend. One of your idols was Michael Jordan. Why was Jordan the greatest ever? Not just for all the points he scored, but for the way he was defending, one of the greatest defenders in basketball history. I need you to be like that, and cojones and all those kind of words, and that didn't work. Then the Carlo Ancelotti chilled, hey, I love you, come here, my son, do what you want. Didn't work either. Then we go to Xabi Alonso, who's, hey, I need you to be structured. I want you to watch this video analysis. I want you to do this and that. And it's not great from a team point of view, again. So when I hear that they want Jurgen Klopp and that Klopp is the dream, I'm like, really? Why would you go there again? Because Klopp is a dogmatic. Klopp won't settle for, yeah, let them do what they want. I don't really care. I'm here for the vibes. This is not Klopp for you. So I'm not really sure why they're so keen on Klopp, apart from the fact that he's one of the biggest names and one of the top managers for the last 25 years or so. So I'm not really sure where to go. But what's for sure is that if they want another Ancelotti or another Zidane, we don't really make those anymore. They're not that available, So I think it's the next one, especially if Arbeloa doesn't work out, I think it's very difficult for them to find the right one.
Translate Jules' Spanish there, Ale. Not tonight.
No, please.
But what I would like you to do is tell me which name you like on that list. Or which name you think would be a good fit on that list.
Well, I think if this is what you're giving me, okay. Enzo Maresca is not part of the conversation. I don't think Thomas Tuchel is part of the conversation. No chance. Mourinho, Nagelsmann, no chance, unless they want to copy the sort of the German vibe that you got going on with Hansi Flick and Barcelona. Andoni Iraola, I think it would be a big leap. And Zidane, it's rumored to be taking over France after the World Cup. So
leaves one.
It leaves one, and it's one that Jules doesn't think all that much about. But it feels like it. If you're making a splash, and Real Madrid is a big splash sort of club, it doesn't feel Arbeloa is a big splash. It feels like Jurgen Klopp is a big splash. And so while we're asking the question from the perspective of Mbappé, it's like, well, one manager would fit Mbappé. Maybe at some point we ask the question as to, from the perspective of the manager, hey, how come this guy doesn't seem to be, or the managers don't seem to be successful in getting him to do what they want him to do? That Luis Enrique, that did what he was able to do with PSG, couldn't get through to Mbappé. That Ancelotti said, I'm not even going to deal with it, bro. You do whatever you want, dude. Hey, I'm too old to be dealing with this nonsense and begging you to go and run here and run there. So then comes Xabi Alonso and says, I actually need you to do this, and it's working for him. It's working for him. He's scoring goals. And so you see the evidence, and so I would follow that path a whole lot more than I would any other path if it comes to Kylian Mbappé. And if Jurgen Klopp can give you the Xabi Alonso structure, but the personality of Jurgen Klopp, maybe that's where we got the difference. That's when we bridge that gap, and he can get through to Mbappé, and just as important, get through to Vini. And man, can you get this team excited to be around each other, which we haven't seen for a while? That's where I line on Jurgen Klopp, particularly if that's the list that you're providing.
Yes, okay. Well, we'll definitely see how this all works out. But first of all, this weekend, it is Real Madrid up against Levante, bright and early. Our coverage will begin at 7:30 a.m. Eastern, and Ali and I will be with
So
you.
with me bed.
So happy to bring it to you.
But you'll be watching us, right?
You'll be watching
Yeah,
us, won't you,
cool.
Stevie?